I've tried to forget over the years. And, my Vietnam stories. That's something I'm pretty proud of. I mean, they're tough, but it's like, I was proud of those. But now I want to speak a little bit about, excuse me. Oh man, it's cold. Some of my experiences in Milan during the 80s. I did some things I'm not very proud of, but excuse me, I guess in a way they got me to where I am. So I mean, excuse me, Jesus. What more can I really say? Well, in Milan during the mid 80s, I was there on vacation and kind of got caught up in this little crew, I guess, gang you can call it, that was majorly into some drug running and illegal weapons trading. I mean, I never got like deeply involved, but I was involved enough to where, if I named any names, possibly some names of those names would know too much. So I'm not going to get into too many details. But, yeah. Well, I'll go from the beginning. What happened was I was in a bar fight with a guy. Didn't know it at the time, but this guy was somewhat connected. But, I was a little drunk. He was a little drunk. We got in a little bar fight and ended up kind of beating him up a little bit. Him and his pals didn't like it very much. And, of course, when his pal showed up, I had to run like a little bitch. But it probably saved my fucking life. Definitely saved my fucking life. So, it actually happened, like 2 or 3 times. It's like, it's weird. Milan seems like a big city, but it's not a great big city. Especially if you stay in one little area, and you're gonna run into the same kind of fucking people. In fact, the same people, which I did, and after a few times of running into the same fucking people that were running with the same people, I got kind of initiated into their gang. Even though I was American, they weren't totally on board with that. They didn't. Some of them didn't like that very much, but some of the upper motherfuckers they didn't care. So, I got initiated into what they were doing. So, I helped them run guns. I helped them run drugs. But of course, that was only really the beginning. So I ran a little drugs. I ran some weapons with them. Me being able to speak really good English helped them. But I wasn't. I was top tier, but I wasn't like the man, which was fine with me because it's like I could kind of stay somewhat out of the limelight while also being involved and making sure I made myself some good money. But yeah, they started pushing the boundaries a little too far. They started getting into some shit that I wasn't down with at all. And yeah, I made my own way out of that. I know it's like, unfortunately, too many of them knew my real name. So I had to take care of that problem. Marcos. He was like, I guess what you would call a capo if it was actually mafia related. They weren't mafia. They were they weren't mafia, but they were like connected. You know what I mean? It's like they didn't go with the whole La Cosa Nostra dealio. They ran independently of the mafia. I think they probably paid off some Sicilian mafia and shit. But I mean, I never learned too much about that. Never wanted to. But Marcos, he was almost like a third, second or third in command. Well, when I decided to get out, he was the first one I visited. I wanted to be clean and quiet, so I strangled him. While police had no leads. I mean, they kind of figured who he was dealing with, but I like to keep myself pretty anonymous. I mean, I was using a fake name and everything, but I'm pretty sure they at least, I'm pretty sure they knew. But I mean, one less dead scumbag on the fucking street. They were probably somewhat okay with that. Gepetti, I stabbed him like a few times. Well, more than a few times, I guess. But he was kind of second in command, little Gepetti. I had to stab him a few times, and then I ended up slitting his throat. I don't know. That one was the hardest, actually, out of all of them, because he was he was a good friend. I mean, I knew that something was going to come between us because of things, but he was a good friend. He was close. Me and him were like that. I mean, the other guys were out doing their thing, but me and him were drinking together. We were hanging out together. We became like brothers, so that was tough. really tough to talk about because it's a dark time. Is when I was doing things I really shouldn't be doing, and I was just there on vacation. But the last one was Mario. He was the leader. He was definitely the one in charge. But I knew that after the other two taking out Mario, I was pretty sure that I would be okay as soon as I took care of him and got out of the country. He had some connections. The other guys, the only connections they had were kind of through the other two and fucking Mario. So I invited Mario over, and we were drinking, and he didn't know that his drink, I slipped him a little something, something. What that something, something was strychnine. What he also didn't know was I already had plane tickets set up for 3 hours from then. So by the time anybody found him, I'd already be gone. My fake name, fake passport used. Also, thank you again, Mario. But I sat there and I watched him die. Watched him slowly die from the poisoning. And I left. And then I boarded that plane. I came back to the U.S. and I burned that fucking passport and that fucking ID. And I traveled as many miles away from New York as I could. Now, New York, that was where I landed. So I, used my real name and ID because I figured by then it would be cool. Which, what, 20 some years down the road, it turned out to be okay. I hitched a car for a couple states, ditched it, got another one, couple states, ditched it, ended up in Northern California and blended in and disappeared. So it's like, I'm not proud. I mean, I've ruined some people's lives, and I'm not just talking about the fucking murderers and thieves that I killed to escape, but all the drugs and the guns. I helped kill fucking innocent people with that shit. And I mean, that's like a fucking dark spot that sits on your fucking soul, and you hope that whatever you do after then fucking erases that shit. But you're just never sure. I mean, how do you ever see all those people and you say you're sorry for that? Yeah, so like I said, even though I told, it wasn't even a heroic story last time. It was just me being there. But this one is me being there and contributing. This one's hard. Sorry. It's like, that's enough for tonight.